Why is it that every time you want to go for the promotion, when a fascinating opportunity comes up for you, every time you think, I deserve more than this, something inside you freezes? It's like there's this invisible wall between you and the life or the thing that you really want. And logically, you know you're more than capable. You know you could do the job. People even probably tell you that you'd be brilliant at it. But when the moment comes, there's something inside you that says, no, you can't. That's not for you. And suddenly there's a pressure. It feels like you're on a stage in front of 1,000 people with your underwear still on, but with a blinding spotlight shining in your face. Every insecurity rushes in. Every doubt gets amplified. Every part of you that normally stays hidden suddenly becomes visible. And you think, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just go for it? This video is for that moment. Because you're not weak. You're definitely not broken. And you certainly don't need to become more extroverted or confident to finally start going for the things that you want and deserve in life. So what's really happening here? Well, it's not a fear of failing. It's actually a deep and painful fear of being seen. And that fear didn't start in adulthood. It started somewhere much, much earlier. So let me ask you something. When did it become unsafe for you to stand out? When did being noticed, being seen, start feeling like a threat rather than an opportunity? Because most introverted professionals don't hold back because they lack the necessary skills or knowledge or experience. They actually hold back because somewhere in the body is a memory, a wound, not a conscious one, but a really painful and felt one. It's a memory of being corrected, a memory of being judged, a memory of being misunderstood, a memory of being told how to act, how to speak, and how to be. And here's the key. Those moments teach your nervous system and your entire being to protect you. So when you're older and you think about stepping forward, your mind is in the present, trying to make sense of it and process what's going on. But your body reacts from a place of safety, a place of protection that's been buried and was born in the past. So this is why you might feel anxious, small, exposed, like an impostor, like you're about to be found out, like you need to shrink immediately. And yet no one sees this on the outside. On the outside you look calm, competent, you look fine, but inside your system's saying being visible, being seen equals danger. So freeze, shrink, hide. So if your fear isn't irrational, then we have to ask ourselves, what's actually being protected? Well, to explain this, let me quickly share a conversation that I had with a colleague recently. So shortly I'll be leaving my 20 plus years in an IT career to focus solely on my YouTube business, on you. That meant that my IT role was up for grabs to the team. And someone reached out to congratulate me on my move, and I just casually asked, are you going to go for the role? They replied immediately, I'm not sure. I think I'd have imposter syndrome about it. And that right there, those words carried with them such a heaviness, such a stuckness, a freeze, and almost a sense of resignation of why even bother. It can be much more subtle though. It can be quiet, but it's always so very powerful. It's a tightening, pulling back and giving up on your dreams before you've even truly considered them. So why does a potential opportunity like this trigger such a deep and often painful reaction? It's because your nervous system isn't actually responding to the present. It's responding to something much more hidden in your past. When you were younger, if you were quite introverted, quiet, thoughtful, you likely internalized much of your stuff. And if the adults around you were stressed, overwhelmed, critical, or simply emotionally unavailable, then you never got the attunement, the safety that told your system you're safe, you're okay, your way of being is valid, and you don't need to change. Instead, you got messages like, speak up, why are you so quiet, be more confident, stop being so sensitive, don't be shy, just be more outgoing. These Micro, seemingly insignificant experiences actually teach your nervous system something really, really powerful. Who I naturally am isn't allowed. And here's the key. When your true self isn't allowed, your body learns to protect you by shrinking, by not going there, by hiding away. Visibility becomes a threat. Standing out in a crowd becomes a threat. Being seen for who you truly are becomes a massive threat. So now, as an adult, the possibility of a promotion or a job application, putting yourself forward, being recognized, speaking up in meetings, just being seen, turns on the same old survival system. You suddenly feel exposed, you feel vulnerable, you feel unsafe. It's the spotlight effect. You're suddenly completely naked. And when you start feeling this stuff, your system automatically goes into trying to work out what the hell's going on. It starts scanning, doubting, freeze, flight come in. And more often than not, a destructive spiral of self-criticism and shame. And all this stuff happens even though, as an adult, you would love the opportunity to progress and move forward. But here's the part I really want to emphasize. You don't need to change your personality to move forward. You don't even need to become more extroverted. And you certainly don't need to force confidence. And you definitely, please, don't need to fake it until you make it. Because this has nothing to do with who you are in this present moment. It's about a younger part of you, the part that learned that visibility was dangerous. And this is why comparing yourself to extroverts is so painful. Because many extroverts actually learned something totally different growing up. They didn't learn shame, they learned pride. They learned that performing, pushing themselves, achieving more was actually the way to earn love and approval. So while introverts shrink from the spotlight, extroverts actually run toward it because they learned the way to get love was by performing and achieving. Love for them wasn't based on being quiet and good and not seen, but on being the best. Both the trauma adaptations, simply two sides of the same rusty, crappy coin. So when you shine a gentle, warm spotlight onto that part of you, that frightened part of you, not with shame, not with pushing, but with compassion, with gentleness and with kindness, something actually softens. You bring the child out of the dark. You make them feel seen for all of the right reasons, maybe for the first time. You actually reconnect with yourself instead of abandoning yourself, and the fear reduces. Not because you forced yourself to be bold or brave, but because you met the part that needed safety. You end up reintegrating parts of yourself that felt abandoned and feel whole again. So if the real work isn't forcing yourself to be confident, what does actually help? Well, it begins with a movement, a gentle awareness. So the next time you feel yourself freeze, the next time you shrink, the moment you're noticed, the next time your body pulls back when you imagine stepping forward, just take a pause, just for a moment. And instead of criticizing yourself, instead of telling yourself to be more confident, instead of shoulding all over yourself, instead of beating yourself up for not being better, just simply pause and acknowledge that, as painful as it may feel. Of course you're scared. You never learned that it was safe to be you. That tiny moment of warmth, a few moments of compassion, casts a much warmer, gentler spotlight, not the harsh, overwhelming spotlight that triggers fear. And slowly the shame loosens, the fear softens, the freeze actually melts, and you move forward. Not by becoming someone you're not, but by becoming more connected to the person that you've actually always been. If you're an introverted professional who feels held back by an internal world no one else can see, you're not alone, you're not broken, and you're not failing. This is exactly the work I do. And if this resonates, then as someone who recently quit their 9 to 5, I'd really appreciate it if you would consider subscribing, dropping a comment below if this helped, and even sharing. Have a beautiful day. Big love, John.